Hello and welcome back to the show today with Chatting Up with CJ. We got a long interviews today. We just had Janice Vaness, who's running for chairman of Rockdale County, and then right now we have the pleasure of having Marcus Flowers, who's running for Congress for the 13th district. How you doing, sir?
I'm pretty good, CJ. How about you?
I'm doing great. So tell us a little bit about yourself, why you run, and a little bit about the 13th district for me.
So to tell you a little bit about myself, I was originally born in a place called Troy, Alabama, which is the birthplace of my idol, John Lewis. Grew up in Alabama. At 18 years old, I joined the Army, swearing an oath to support and defend the Constitution. And basically, that's what I've been doing ever since. Put it quite simply, service to this country has been my life, with
Right.
almost 3 decades in either uniform or serving as a government official for DOD, defense contractor with Department of State. Uh, I've been serving this country, and that's pretty much all I know how to do. My
Right.
background is in logistics and regulatory compliance, but I
Uh,
come from the world of intelligence and electronics warfare. Served a decade in combat zones in Iraq and Afghanistan, done humanitarian efforts in Sudan, peacekeeping missions in the Balkans. So that's a little bit about me and why I'm running in the 13th.
and where do you live in the 13th, if I may ask?
I'm not living in the 13th currently. To tell you a little
Okay.
bit about that, I used to live in the 13th in Henry County in Stockbridge. I also lived in Clayton County,
Okay.
Hampton, in the Lovejoy area. My service to the country actually took me away from the state of Georgia and sent me out west, and then I moved back to Georgia. So planning on moving back into Henry County, where I
Mhm.
lived previously, but just working on that right now.
Awesome. So, along with that, so you don't have to live when you qualify, or how does that work?
Well, for federal positions, you do not have to live in the district like you have to live in the district for state and local
Gotcha.
elections. So that's not a thing at the federal level, but it is something that you should probably do.
Right. And so, tell us why you think you're the best candidate to run against David Scott and all that good stuff.
Well, let me take you back into why
Go
I
ahead.
ran for Congress in the first place. The
And get
summer.
a little bit closer to your mic if you don't mind.
Sorry, can you
Sorry.
hear me better now?
Yeah.
All right, I'll just speak up.
All right.
The reason I ran for Congress in the first place, I ran back in the 2022 cycle against Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, before 2021, when I first entered that race, again,
Mm-hmm.
I was a government official, basically a nonpartisan.
Yeah.
Service to this country was always of the utmost importance to me. Supporting and defending the democracy was something that I swore an oath to, again, at 18 years old, and reaffirmed that oath several times over my 3 decades of service to the country. But when I saw what was going on with the country in that summer of unrest, the summer that George Floyd was murdered by a police officer, and I come from a law enforcement family. Granddaddy
Mm-hmm.
was a sheriff, uncles were police captains. Uh, I knew we were turning a point in this country. Uh, Watching that whole summer and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump and all of the division that we were seeing in the country that led
Mm-hmm.
up to January 6th, um, I knew I had to do something. I knew I had to change the way that I served. So I stepped up, ran against Marjorie Taylor Greene in Georgia's 14th congressional district. That race didn't go the way we wanted it to go.
All right.
But the reasons that I stood up and ran then are the same reasons that I'm standing up and running once again. I still don't think that the threat that was posed to our nation on January 6th has gone anywhere. I still think there are extremist elements that are trying to divide us into democracy as we know it. That's why
Mm-hmm.
I'm stepping up to run for Congress once again, because I believe I can make a difference. I believe I can be someone who can get people to come together, sit down, negotiate in good faith, and work on the things that are truly affecting us as Georgians right now and as Americans, to be
All
quite
right.
with you. We're dealing with record high cost in this country, and these are the things that people are concerned about. The cost of
Mm-hmm.
living. We've got to do the work to get that down. coming out of COVID. We're dealing with the inflation still there, but people are talking about real things like the cost of housing. Young people who
Yep.
are finishing college, wondering when are they going to be able to afford to buy a home. And even before they can buy a home, rents are through the roof right now. So we got to start addressing those problems. And I feel like I'm the best suited to address those problems right now.
Raising the federal wages because we got houses here. I live in Rockdale County, and we have houses and apartments, townhouses going up left and right, and the rent on those are like $2,500. Nobody can. That's just the rent.
I mean, they're rents that are more than mortgages right now, and that's and one of the big things that I've been hearing over the last several years and talking with people all across Georgia is they're concerned about these companies that are coming from not only other states but from other countries, buying up real estate and cornering the market and really sending these rents through the roof right now, and it's having a real impact on Georgians at a very, very basic level, and we've got to do something about that. And I believe there are laws that can be put in place to help with those burdens. Your government should and can help those things.
Right. And so you're in Congress in Washington, D.C., and we're here in little small Rockdale County. What changes can you bring to us in that we can see once you're elected to office?
Well, here's one thing. Coming from the government, I understand how grants and things like that works. If you look at what Biden's doing with the infrastructure, the first president to get that done in really decades, I feel that it is important to have a member of Congress at the federal level working with local officials to address the issues in, say, any particular county in a district. That's really your connection to the people, are those local electeds. You have to build a relationship with them, earn trust with them, work with them, fight their fights with them so that they'll trust you and fight your fights with you. I believe I'm that type of bridge builder who will not only help with those problems, but show up and be there with your local elected officials to do the work.
And I heard you was going to put an office here in Rockdale. Is that right? Or how is
That's
that
one
working?
of the plans. If I'm elected, I think Rockdale's pretty much the center of the district. I think Conyers would be a great place
Okay.
for a district office.
And let people know what counties are actually in the 14th district or 13th district. I'm sorry.
So currently, for those, yeah, I guess that's a great question.
Yeah, because we just
A
changed.
lot
So.
of people have been
Yeah.
asking me the questions. I thought I was in so and so's district, so and so. The district lines have changed. A lot of people haven't been paying attention to the long battle that went on after 2020 to get fair lines. Now, we were supposed to get, as Democrats, we were supposed to get 2 new majority-minority districts. We ended up getting 1. But so the new 13th consists of part of Clayton County, part of Henry County, a small piece of DeKalb County, all of Rockdale, about half or a little bit less than half of Newton, and most of Gwinnett County. So it's geographically large.
None of South Fulton, right? Because I saw that on
None
there.
of South
That was
Fulton.
okay.
That was a part of the old 13.
Okay. Yeah, they still have that online. So I was trying to figure out what is the 13th, and they don't have it up there yet. So that's another thing.
For people who are watching the show and want to see current lines, go to Dave's Redistricting. Just Google that, and it'll come up, and it'll show you the new lines. It'll probably show you what the old lines were as well. But if you think the district just basically shifted east and did like a backwards C around DeKalb and Fulton counties.
And if you don't mind telling us, what is the 4th district now? What does that consist of? Because that's what Rockdale used to be.
And that's Hank Johnson's district. So that's most of DeKalb and some of Fulton. Just a little bit of Gwinnett as well.
His shrunk a little bit, right?
It has. But I mean, population wise, it's about the same as the rest of the district.
Gotcha. And so, let's see. We need to know how to help us with the unnecessary spending of the BOC is doing here in Rockdale County. What can the federal level do to help with that? And because we have the new
CJ, you broke up there a little bit, or maybe that was on my end. I couldn't quite hear the question. Could you repeat that?
Sure can. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Uh, is there a way you can help us with the unnecessary spending that the Rockdale County BOC is doing? And because we just got the $140 million courthouse that they approved, so is there anything that you can do to help us out with the taxes here at Rockdale?
Again, I'm running at the federal level. So when it comes to county and city spending, that's really not that's more for local officials. But again, when it comes to the federal level and bringing in funds to Rockdale County from the federal government, that is something I want to be able to help local elected officials with. Now, again, I talked to you about my background in
Hmm.
regulatory compliance in the government. Now, one of my jobs in government was to combat fraud, waste, and abuse
Yes.
of taxpayer dollars.
Gotcha.
I oversaw multiple defense contractors. A lot of them you've heard of. Some of the big five, like Lockheed Martin, Boeing,
Hmm.
Raytheon, Bell Helicopter, uh, General Dynamics, what have you, BAE. A lot of the big government contractors. So what I would actually do is go in and look at all of those complex systems and help make amendments and pull back some of the money that was either not being used for the purposes that they were used for, or didn't need to be used because that work didn't need to be performed. I'm actually someone who actually took money back from contractors and put it back into the treasury for other uses. I mean, you
Hmm.
understand, everybody talks about how huge the defense budget is, and we can get into the colors of money and how that money is actually spent. And when it comes back from certain contracts, where it goes after that, we won't get into that, but that's
Hmm.
one of sorry, that's one of the things that I know how to do to get that money. So I know where to go look for it when it comes to filling the needs of a district.
All right. And when you get in office, if there's anything that you need to let the citizen know, would you come back on the show here?
Oh, absolutely. Would
Hmm.
love to.
How,
That's
how would you get
again, that's what I think is important. Showing up,
citizen
being held
involvement?
accountable, and talking to people. I've made the promise and talked to people about, if I'm elected, if I have the honor of being your representative in Congress, I'll be here
Hmm.
every month in the district. I mean, a lot of people don't know you do 3 weeks of work in Washington and 1 week for in district work. That's to be back into the district, talking with people, talking with your constituents, letting them know and informing them of what's going on, and being available to them to answer your questions. That's something we're not seeing right now from
Right.
the current representative of the 13th congressional district.
So I'll
I mean,
be available if
you'll see a lot of yard signs and
right.
billboards, but what you're not seeing
That's all you see.
is Mr. Scott
Hmm.
actually showing up and having those conversations.
Right. And so I'll be here to assist you in that if you want to have a virtual town hall or anything like that if you're
I
interested.
I thank you for that, and I appreciate it, and I will take you up on that offer if I'm
Mm.
elected. Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Yes. Will you be reachable or will we only talk to your assistant? Because that's what I like too about personality. Like even with here in Rockdale, some of the people are like, "You gotta talk to my assistant." No, I want to talk to you. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Now, of course, it's a district with about 770,000 people, so I can't be
Sure.
accessible to everyone, but I
Right.
will be accessible to your leaders, to those like
Hmm.
you, leaders in the community, who can reach out to me at any time. And you know this to be true because you can call me at any time and you'll get
Hmm.
me. You're not getting my assistance. You talk directly
Right.
to me. So, you know, getting out, getting to the people, I promise you, that is something that is actually the part of being a candidate that I like most, actually having
Hmm.
those conversations with people.
Right.
And anyone that
So,
has met me, I mean, I'm not new to this. I've been at this for 3 years, out talking with
hmm.
people in Georgia. They know they can reach out to me and have those real conversations, even the tough conversations. I enjoy having those because it
Hmm.
informs my opinions about things that people are really feeling.
And so, if with that, if Donald Trump is elected, would you work with him, or how would that look if you were elected in this district?
Let's be clear here. I think if Donald Trump is elected again, we're in trouble. This is a man who said he'd be a dictator on day one. I'm doing everything that I can to ensure that President Biden and Vice President Harris are reelected. I think we need to flip the House as Democrats in uh, the next Congress. I'm looking forward to having a Speaker of the House, Hakeem Jeffries, who's going to actually work for the American people. Right now, we're seeing chaos in the House.
Mm.
You lost Kevin McCarthy. I mean, he didn't get in until I can't remember how many votes it was, 13 or
Yeah.
14. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember the exact number, but they had several votes to get a speaker elected. We started with chaos. Now Kevin McCarthy's gone, and you have Mike Johnson, who's continuing the chaos. And there's a faction inside of the House Republicans that want to see him gone, that are stalling government. Things that we really need to be working on and focused on, we're not, because people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I ran against in the last election cycle, are creating that chaos. I think we need to get Democrats in charge in the House and make things happen for the American people. That way we can tackle healthcare, we can tackle housing and costs, we can tackle the issues that are going on in our foreign policy, and help out our allies like Ukraine, and get the work done that we need to get done in the chaos. Sit down. I think when you have a Speaker Jeffries, we'll be able to sit down with those who are maybe on the far right. Well, maybe not sit down with them on the far right. Sit down with those in the middle on the right who are willing to have those conversations, negotiate in good faith, and get things done. I think that's what needs to happen. I don't see much getting done. I think Trump, when you speak to Trump specifically, for me, what I see out of Trump is his campaign is all about grievance. He talks nothing about getting things done for the American people. I mean, we're going to see the issues with the tax cuts that he had. That's going to come back, and that's going to bite us. We're going to be paying higher taxes. The middle class, those who are the most vulnerable of us are hurt right now. He's not talking about addressing those. He's talking about retribution for his political enemies. That's not what we need right now. It's time for us to come together. It's time to sit down, have those tough conversations. And negotiating with people who you may not agree with is not easy. It's not easy. But you got to be willing to sit down and listen and try and find a path forward. And I think when Democrats take
that's one reason I have
what we can do.
That's one reason I have this show, because I myself is nationally a Republican, but I still like to hear other people's side. That's why I have you on the show, and I have other people on the show to bring it together and maybe see what we can do to come together. And I think that's very important for the citizens.
I mean, if you followed my career and my work over the last few years, you'll see, I mean, Olivia Troy, everyone's heard about her. She was Vice President Mike Pence's counterterrorism analyst. I've known Olivia for more than 20 years. We worked in Iraq way back in the early 2000s together. She's a Republican. We're friends. We sit down and we have the tough conversations. If you look at Joe Walsh, someone who I consider a friend as well, was one of the founding members of the Tea Party. He's since moved away from that. But Joe and I have been able to sit down and have tough conversations and come to, a consensus on things that we may not agree on. But we see the work that we need to do in order to save our democracy, in order to bring people back together. So I think I've had a record of being able to sit down with people who I may not agree with politically, but I think they're good people, and I see their humanity, they see mine, and that fosters an environment where you can sit down and have those tough conversations, because you have to do it in good faith. That's something that we've got to get back to, seeing each other as human once again. I hate the talk when people call Democrats demon rats, or you talk about MAGA Republicans. I hate that talk. We need to get past that so that we can all sit down. At the end of the day, we're all people. We're all in this together. Our democracy is the most important thing that we have to preserve, and not only preserve, do the work to fix it. But in order to fix that, we've got to start seeing the humanity in each other again, and start coming together and working for a common cause.
And that's one reason too I created this site and this website and my show. And I'll offer it to you if you wanted to get the other Republicans on and have not really a debate, but discuss the tough questions that people here in little Rockdale would like to know about.
Well, that's how you move the needle. you have those
Yeah.
conversations. You know, that's it.
And
That's something that I love to do, actually.
right. And what do you know about the affordable connective? Let's see, put it up here. Affordable connectivity program. It has run out of funding. Would you support the refunding it? And I think the FCC Lifeline program is also running out of funding.
No, I think I think that needs to be refunded, and I know a little bit about the Affordable Connectivity Program. I mean, I've talked about it in my last campaigns. There in certain parts of the country, you still have people going to McDonald's to get or Walmart to get connectivity to do homework. That shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't
Right.
be. And while we're on that subject, there are also some things I want to work on as far as getting disinformation and misinformation out of these social media sites, and working on the Internet Decency Act, holding those internet platforms like Facebook, Twitter, what have you, any of those, holding them to the same standards as traditional media outlets. We got to get back to a place where we know we're putting out the truth. I mean, there's a not insignificant portion of our population that reads things online or hears things on certain line, and they believe it, and it radicalizes them, but they're all lies. What they don't understand is there are hostile foreign state actors. And I tell you, I came from the world of intelligence and electronics warfare, so I understand a bit about misinformation and disinformation from hostile state actors like Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. They're for lack of a better term, they're playing us right now. They are
Right.
flooding the zones to try and influence our election by turning people against each other. And we're seeing a lot of it play out right now with some of these protests. Some of these are bad actors who are being, led by the nose from these hostile state actors. That's something that we need to address. That's something that I want to address. First of all, we got to get to a place where we're all talking about the same truths and facts. If we can get there, I think, that gives us a good foundation to get back to where we need to be as a nation, come together and work on the issues that are really hurting us.
So somebody was asking, so you want to give away free internet and then regulate it. So how would you let the citizens know about that?
I'm a compliance guy, a regulatory compliance guy. I feel now. Let me say, I don't believe in regulation for the sake of regulation. Regulations are there to protect us. Certain regulations, so I believe in those regulations. It's all about protecting our consumers. It's about protecting our people. It's about protecting the taxpayers. That's what I mean when I say regulation. It's to protect people. But regulation
Still keeping our first,
not for it.
Right. So I heard before that the internet, like if you post something, is it still free speech in your content, or how does that work? Like if you post something and then
free speech
like regulating
is again, I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, which means I support all of the amendments. The First Amendment being one of them. I support people's free speech, but all of our amendments have borders around them. All speech isn't protected speech. So hate speech, I'm against any of it. And outright lies that are meant to disinform people and lead them down the wrong path, I'm against that as well. I think internet providers should be held responsible, or a platform on those platforms. They should be held responsible for what they put out on those platforms. So that's something if elected to Congress, I'm definitely going to be looking into, and how we can hold those accountable who are, putting out disinformation and misinformation that hurts people, that hurts our children, that divides us. That's disinformation coming from, foreign and hostile state actors. We've got to get a hold of that. We've got to.
So with the free internet, or if that's what we're going to call it, could we have like a community center that the kids or people can go to here in Rockdale County, that the federal like a grant or something?
Grants are, yeah. I mean, I agree with that, and that's one of the things I would love to help our local officials with: the grant writing, putting in for those grants, knowing when those grants are available, and helping our communities get those, because those grants are very competitive. They're competitive across all the districts in the United States. That's where I want to help our local electeds and our local organizations to get those grants. That's one of the ways you bring back money into the district. But you got to know where to find it and make sure that your local electeds know that that money is available.
Right. And one of my biggest things I've been wanting to do, if you can help too, is well, with that free internet and all that good stuff, that same center can be a feeding center for the homeless here in Rockdale.
Homeless
And
is an issue
combining
that we definitely need to tackle here in Georgia. And I would be willing to do anything that I can to work with local electeds to tackle that issue.
We have a meet and greet here in Rockdale.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt. I mean, anytime people want to come out to see me, you know how to reach out to me. I'd love to sit down and talk with people. That's why I'm running.
Yeah, we'll probably get together and have a meet and greet and find a place to do it at. And I know a lot of connections too, so yeah.
Anytime, any place. I've visited Rockdale a lot of the churches, gone out and talked to people, knocked doors. We've had meet and greets there in Rockdale already. So we're definitely willing to do more. Early voting's already started. So people who haven't voted, who are watching your show, if you want to sit down and talk with me, hey, reach out to CJ, let him know. I'll be there to talk with you.
And along with that, the amount of liquor stores we have now. So is there, because we have like over 300 churches in this small county now, the liquor stores are kind of catching up and trying to be with us. So can we regulate that somehow, or how does that? You can't do that either, can you?
We were talking about the same thing back in 2009 when I first moved to Henry County. I mean, my brother and I were having a conversation about the amount of liquor stores. Fortunately, at the federal level, that's not much I would be able to do about that. Again, that's a local elected thing. But yeah, I mean, a lot of liquor stores.
Yeah.
So.
Right. I know they're catching up with the churches now in here in Rockdale. Like we said, we have like almost 300. So. But what strategies will you bring to support Georgia's #1 industry, put it up here, agriculture, and providing over $74 billion to the Georgia economy in 2030?
Well, again, I come from a family. I told you I came from a family of law enforcement. Granddaddy was a sheriff. Granddaddy was also a farmer. That's what he did when he was not out in the community as a sheriff. So agribusiness. I grew up on a farm partly. So that's something that is big for me. I mean, we need to be protecting farmers, investing in Black farmers, making sure that they have all of the funds and tools that they need so that we can compete with, a lot of the bigger farms that are, taking a lot of the business, quite frankly. So I'll make sure to work on making that fair and work with, those on the agricultural committee to get laws passed that'll protect our farmers, not only in Georgia, but across the country.
And so
support those
Georgia has
schools who are pushing agribusiness here in Georgia. I was at in Conyers for the trade fair. They're talking to some of the kids who are looking at that, and I talk about farming and all of the business that surrounds farming. Again, my granddaddy was a farmer. My dad was a teacher. My dad, taught the trades for 36 years before he passed. I talk to kids about, college. Yes, it's great if you can go and you can afford it and get through and not have a whole lot of debt. I went a different route. I went to the military, even though I did go to college, but the military was what it was for me. There are ways, to be successful in life and not incur a lot of debt. Agriculture is one of those ways. So that's one of the things that I talk to kids about.
That's what I'm doing here, because I didn't go to college. I worked at Quick Trip, and now I'm doing this and building this website, hoping it will be a second income for me. I hope people don't get mad at me for saying that, but I mean, that's,
college isn't for
way to do it.
That's fine. And if you do want to go to college and it's for you, I'm for you and do it. But agriculture and, learning some trades, I tell kids that those are ways. If college is not what you think you want to be doing, there are ways to make a living. My daddy taught it for years. So
Georgia has a surplus that can, any of the money that be given to the counties to take the taxes burden off the citizens.
And that's at the state level. One of the things that I think Georgia needs to be doing with that surplus of money is helping expand Medicaid, and bringing down some of the cost of healthcare for a
Yeah.
lot of the citizens. Again, for me, it's about lowering the cost of living. Inflation is hurting people. We've got to tackle the cost of these rents. I think there are definitely a lot of things that we can be doing at the state level, but at the federal level, I'm going to fight to do everything that I can and work with our local electeds and our state officials to help do that, lowering the cost of living. That's the big thing that I think we need to tackle, because that's the thing I hear the most. First, it's housing, then it's how much people are paying at the grocery store, it's how much they're paying at the pump, it's how much they're paying for healthcare. These are things that we need to be sitting down together and talking about instead of focusing on the chaos that's going on in Congress right now.
Yeah. So, what do you think is the number one or three issues that are facing the 13th district right now when you get into office?
What I hear from the people, again, housing, costs, healthcare. These are the things that I know that are facing. Again, my family lives in the district. When I talk about my mother, who is still paying X amount of dollars for insulin because she's a diabetic, and healthcare, paying for my family's healthcare. I mean, it's exorbitant. Doing those little things, working on those issues to help bring the cost down. And the president talks about this all the time. These are things that we should be doing. Give the people that breathing room that they need. And when I talk about costs and what people are paying at the grocery store, when we came out of COVID, inflation went up, and there was some supply chain issues. A lot of those issues are fixed now. But those price and inflation's come down, but those prices haven't come down with it. And we talk about shrinkflation, and I think there's a bit of price gouging going on. I got to be honest. I think there's a bit of that going on. We're paying more for less. And when we talk about shrinkflation, again, a regulatory compliance guy, I think we need to be addressing those issues with these big companies and manufacturers who are causing this hurt to the American people. I think that's something that I really want to dig into and address.
So, how can you, as a congressman, bring down the inflation? How does that work? I know you by yourself can't, but how does that begin to work?
Bringing down inflation, it's a hot economy right now. Inflation's high. For me as a congressman, tackling inflation, it's not going to be the issue for me. It's going to be tackling the costs and the underlying issues that are causing the high costs. So when you start looking at lenders when it comes to housing, because that affects inflation, it affects what people are paying for housing. So we need to be tackling those issues, having those conversations, learning as much as I can about how and what needs to be done to tackle those costs.
And so, here in Rockdale County, we have a school system that our millage rate is very high. So, school tax for seniors paying is local, but can the government give a rebate to help seniors with the school tax?
I think there should be, and I've dealt with this issue for the years, and I've talked with a lot of seniors who say things like, I'm in my 70s, I don't have kids in school, why should I be paying taxes on that? Right. At the federal level, there should be a refund for those seniors to help out with that. That's a state and local thing, and that's a property tax thing. But I think there should and can, the government should work on things like that. Okay, you have no kids in school, you're paying X amount of dollars. Yeah, let's give you a little bit of a break. Again, and we keep saying it, it's a recurring theme now. Cost. Right. Everything that we're talking about keeps coming back to cost. That's one of the things that's hurting. So,
and I'm at the thing now, like my mom is an elderly person too, so she's around 70. And then I'm single, and I don't have any kids in the school system, so I'll be paying the taxes to the school system.
I can't help you on that.
You know what I mean? Trying to get a little help.
I've got kids in school too, so I have to pay those. And, that's one of those give and takes kind of things. That's that social contract. But again, you're a senior citizen, and you're looking to retire, and you're living on, that fixed income, Social Security, or what have you, or your retirement. I think you kind of need a break there. You paid your dues. You've done, everything that you were asked to do. Let's give our seniors a break. here.
Right.
But it's incumbent upon us to take care of our parents as well. So
with the grants we're talking about, can the citizens apply for a grant, or how does that work?
There are all kinds of grants out there. Whether it's grants for education, whether it's grants for small businesses, whether it's grants for community things and organizations to do things in the community. But yeah, citizens can apply for certain grants, like small business grants and things of that nature, and there are programs out there. And that's part of one of the things that I think as a congressman, it's about making people aware of those, what's out there available to them. So the government.
I don't know about any grant, so yeah, that'd be great.
And there are seminars that we have in the state. I was just at one a couple of months ago where we're talking about this very thing, small business grants, and how to go out and get that money from the government if you're working on certain things. So yeah, if you wanted to do a nonprofit.
So if you have a seminar and like to have it here, that's what I'm here for. This platform here too. So reach out to me if you want to let the citizens know, because I'm trying to reach the whole 13th district now, if that's possible. So.
Outstanding. So, and that's something that we can definitely look at and talk about offline, is, using you as a platform to help get information out to people. And thank you for what you're doing, by the way. This is important work. So God bless you for that.
Thank you. And I've been receiving a lot of thanks for that too, because here in Rockdale County, a lot of businesses are not getting the local support they need. So I'm trying to get the businesses on here so I can advertise them and get the local citizens involved there.
There you go. And that's the way to do it. Thanks for that. That's important.
And then I guess he's talking about the economy here with a zero-based budgeting is the first step.
Zero-based budgeting. That is a good step. I mean, and I come from the world of defense. Yeah, we get a set amount of budget a year, but if you don't use it, you lose it. Now, that's one of those bad things that I've seen abused in the past. Again, my job was to combat fraud, waste, and abuse. You'd see a lot of units, a lot of companies saying, "Oh, well, we didn't spend all of our budget this year, or we haven't spent, and it's August and the fiscal year is about to end, so let's spend everything that we can." That's a form of waste as far as I'm concerned. But I think
so with that
zero-based budgeting, I think we start out with a budget that we know that we can live with, and look at it on a yearly basis and say, okay, this is what we're averaging spending, so let's keep it there. If need be, comes up.
So with that extra spending that they didn't spend, could that be like a stimulus for the seniors or something like that, or how does that all work?
Money that just should go back into the budget. Again, from the world I came from, if you didn't use it, you lost it. It was gone for the next year. So your budget came out lower from the previous year if you didn't use it. So that's one way I think to look at it.
Kind of like the flex
but
spending.
It won't work the same way at the local level. That money is still there. The federal government is a little bit different. Again, we talk about the different colors of money. So
that's like the flex spending account. Like if you don't use it, you lose it.
Basically.
Yeah. So do you have any events coming up in the counties or surrounding counties here that you let
We're just getting out, knocking doors. We're probably going to do some phone banking, going out to churches. But if there's any local events that are happening throughout the district, we'll probably show our faces at some of those. But that's pretty much what we've got going on in these last couple of weeks of this primary, is getting out the vote, going out and talking to people, meeting them where they are, and having those conversations.
And then again, that's what I'm here for, is trying to get the early vote out as soon as I can, or people to get out and vote early, because I don't like they redistrict our district in Old Town here, and I have to go across the highway to get to my district or my voting thing. So I vote early.
Vote location.
So, yeah.
And that's one of the things we need to start making sure that people know where their early vote locations are. I mean, we're fielding a lot of those questions as well. Well, where can I go to early vote? We'll make sure that they get that information.
I hope not in Rockdale, because I've been trying to get that out.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a couple in Rockdale that asked me, but yeah, we point them in the right direction. But they've been in other parts of the district as well, in Gwinnett and in Henry. We fielded those questions as well. But so thank you for actually helping people out with that. But we're doing it all.
Yes. trying to get it all out there. And then, how can people get in touch with you?
People can get in touch with me by going to www.marcus4georgia.com, all spelled out. We have an info page, an inbox. Just send an email to our info inbox, and we will get back with you as soon as possible.
And I just put this up there for the people in Rockdale County. I need to get one for all the counties in 13th District, but here in Rockdale, it's at 1115 West Avenue, Southwest Conyers, Georgia. And they did have the Sunday early voting today, about over at 5. And then they got the extended voting next week. So get out there and early vote as soon as you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you can send me those counties where the early or the voting locations are, I'd love to put them on my website.
All right. We'll make sure you get
so,
that.
Anything big issues going on that you'd like to talk about, or let them know about your campaign, who you are, again, for those that are just now joining us?
Anyone that wants to support, you can go onto our website again, www.marcus4georgia, all spelled out, MARCUSFORGEORGIA.com. If you want to volunteer, help us knock some doors, do some phone banking, some text banking, talk to your neighbors, bring them out. We're going to be having events. You can go to our website. We'll post those there. You can also find me on Facebook at marcus4georgia.com. We'll post any events that we're doing there. We'll put out flyers. We're doing several different counties. So if you want to help out, want to help our campaign, you want us to come by and sit down and talk, we'd like to do what I call micro town halls for people who have friends that want to sit down and have the conversation. I'll come out, I'll come to your home or meet in a local place, and we can sit down and talk with you and your friends and your family or whoever you want to come to an event that you're putting on. We'll definitely help with that. Just let us know. We'd love to do it.
I'll put together, just for the audience, I'll put together a event and let you have a coffee shop talk or something like that, and get them out there and yeah. So thank you for your time here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think there was a question I missed. Let's see here. Georgia expands Medicare. How long will the federal supplements last for that?
Well, hopefully forever. I mean, that's, I mean, we've got to keep funding Medicaid. We've got to keep funding Social Security, because this, in my opinion, helps the most vulnerable people among us. That money's there. I mean, the federal government put it out. Georgia's kind of sitting on a lot of it. I mean, I know Governor Kemp's trying to do different things and work other options and avoid that, but I think he's got to use the money there. It's going to help people. So it's what we pay taxes for. When I was 16 and got my first job and Social Security came out, I was like, I didn't know what that was. I was like, I was expecting to get $100 or whatever the amount was, and this isn't $100. Well, it was explained to me that, hey, your government's taking this money to use it. You will get it back when you retire. That's a promise. We shouldn't be reneging on that promise. So these are.
I don't know if we talked about this. I think we talked about it a little bit right before we go. The federal wage. Can we see how we can raise that up and make it more affordable for people to live?
Well, I think it's vital. Again, we're coming back to costs, that people be able to make a living wage, even young adults who are, may not be in college, but they're in their early 20s, paying rent. They've got to have a living wage. So, I mean, the federal minimum wage is at X amount of dollars. We've got to at least match that, and we've got to make sure that our citizenry has the training and the skills to do the jobs that are going to pay the bills going forward. I mean, again, it's costs. So we've got to make sure that we have people that can cover the costs. We've got to address the issues that are causing the costs as well. So.
Well, all right. I appreciate your time here. If you'll stay on, we'll talk a little bit more after. And then I appreciate everybody's support, and share this and like it and subscribe. subscribe to wherever you're listening so you can get more information. And don't forget to visit my website for more information. I'm going to have more up there with his help where the voting locations are. So make sure you visit that as well. Thank you. God bless. And don't forget, we have one more tonight at 6 o'clock with the sheriff running for sheriff, Corey Hambrick, being here at 6 o'clock.